have you ever noticed how some mornings make you feel unstoppable, while others leave you tired, distracted, anxious, and behind before the day even begins? What if I told you that science now shows your first hour after waking may control your mood, metabolism, focus, hormones, productivity, and even how fast your body ages? Most people think success starts with motivation. It doesn't. It starts with habits, specifically morning habits. And here's the shocking part. Many of the things people do immediately after waking up are scientifically proven to increase fatigue, brain fog, stress hormones, cravings, and poor sleep later that night. Checking your phone, skipping sunlight, drinking sugary coffee on an empty stomach, rushing into stress, these tiny decisions quietly damage your body every single day. But the opposite is also true. There are a few simple morning behaviors that can rapidly improve energy, sharpen memory, stabilize hormones, reduce inflammation, improve metabolism, SM, and even increase happiness chemicals in the brain naturally. And no, you do not need a complicated 4 a.m. routine or a millionaire lifestyle to do them. In this speech, you're going to learn the perfect morning habits backed by real science, why they work inside your brain and body, and how small changes in your mornings can completely transform your health, focus, confidence, and long-term success. Stay until the end, because the final habit may be the most powerful one of all, and almost nobody is doing it correctly. Most people don't realize this, but the first 30 minutes after waking up are like programming code for your brain and body. What you do during this small window sends powerful signals to your hormones, nervous system, metabolism, and mental focus that can shape the next 12 to 16 hours of your day. The problem is that many people begin their mornings in survival mode. They wake up late, immediately grab their phone, flood their brain with stress, notifications, bad news, emails, and social media, then rush through the morning with anxiety already activated. Scientifically, this creates a spike in cortisol, your body's main stress hormone, at the wrong intensity. Cortisol itself is not bad. In fact, healthy cortisol in the morning is necessary because it helps wake you up, increases alertness, and gives you energy. But when you combine natural cortisol with instant digital stress, your nervous system becomes overloaded before your brain is even fully awake. This is why many people feel mentally exhausted by noon, even when they haven't done much physical work. Research also shows that your brain enters a highly impressionable state shortly after waking. Your thoughts, emotional input, and behaviors during this time influence dopamine pathways, attention span, and emotional regulation throughout the day. In simple words, if your morning begins with chaos, distraction, and stress, your brain carries that same pattern for hours. But if your morning begins with calmness, movement, hydration, sunlight, and intentional focus, your brain becomes more stable, productive, and emotionally balanced. Even something as simple as drinking water immediately after waking can improve cognitive performance because your body naturally becomes mildly dehydrated overnight. Exposure to natural sunlight in the first 30 minutes has also been shown to help regulate circadian rhythm, improve serotonin production, increase daytime energy, and support better sleep later at night. This is why successful and healthy people often protect their mornings so carefully. They understand that mornings are not just about productivity. They are about biology. Your body is listening to every signal you give it. The foods you eat, the light your eyes receive, the thoughts you repeat, and the stress you absorb all become instructions for your brain and hormones. When you control your first 30 minutes instead of letting the world control them for you, you begin creating a completely different mental and physical state for the rest of your day. One of the most powerful things you can do in the morning has nothing to do with expensive supplements, complicated routines, or extreme productivity hacks. It's sunlight and hydration. These two simple habits may look basic, but science shows they directly influence your energy levels, metabolism, hormones, brain function, and even your emotional health. The problem is that most people wake up already dehydrated, stay indoors under artificial light, and immediately consume caffeine before their body has properly activated itself naturally. Over time, this creates a cycle of fatigue, dependence on stimulants, poor sleep, and unstable energy throughout the day. When you sleep, your body continues losing water through breathing and sweating for 6 to 8 hours without replacement. By morning, many people are already mildly dehydrated, and even mild dehydration can reduce concentration, memory, reaction speed, and mood. This is why some people wake up feeling dizzy, sluggish, or mentally foggy before they even begin the day. Drinking water shortly after waking helps restore blood circulation, support brain function, improve digestion, and activate metabolism. Some studies even suggest that water intake in the morning may temporarily increase calorie burning through a process called thermogenesis, where the body uses energy to warm and process the water. And when hydration happens before caffeine, your nervous system becomes more balanced instead of being shocked awake artificially. But sunlight may be even more important. Your brain has an internal biological clock called the circadian rhythm, and this clock depends heavily on natural light signals. When sunlight enters your eyes in the morning, special receptors send messages directly to the brain that it is time to become alert, focused, and energized. This helps regulate cortisol in a healthy way while also boosting serotonin, a neurotransmitter linked to mood, motivation, and emotional stability. Later in the evening, that same process helps your brain produce melatonin properly so you can sleep better at night. In other words, morning sunlight doesn't just improve your morning, it improves your entire sleep cycle. What's fascinating is that even 5 to 10 minutes of outdoor light exposure can begin changing these biological systems. You don't need intense exercise or a perfect routine immediately after waking. Simply stepping outside, exposing your eyes to natural daylight without sunglasses for a few minutes, breathing fresh air, and hydrating your body can create measurable changes in how your brain performs throughout the day. These small actions tell your body that you are awake, safe, active, and ready to function at a high level instead of remaining trapped in a tired, stressed, low-energy state that silently follows millions of people every single morning. Most people think stress hormones are always harmful, but your body actually depends on one specific hormone every morning to help you wake up, feel alert, and prepare for the day. That hormone is cortisol. The problem is not cortisol itself. The problem is how modern lifestyles distort it. When your morning routine is unhealthy, rushed, and filled with stress, cortisol stops working for you and starts working against you. This is why so many people wake up tired, anxious, unmotivated, and mentally drained even after sleeping for several hours. Scientifically, your body is designed to experience something called the cortisol awakening response. Within the first 30 to 45 minutes after waking, cortisol naturally rises to increase alertness, energy, blood sugar availability, and mental focus. This is completely normal and biologically necessary. Think of it as your body's natural internal alarm system. In healthy people, this morning cortisol rise improves attention, reaction speed, and motivation while helping regulate the sleep-wake cycle. But modern habits are disrupting this process in dangerous ways. The moment many people open their eyes, they flood their brain with stress. They check emails, scroll social media, read negative headlines, compare themselves to others, and instantly activate emotional tension before their nervous system has stabilized. This creates an exaggerated stress response that keeps cortisol elevated for too long. Instead of giving you controlled energy, it pushes your body into survival mode. Your heart rate increases, your brain becomes overstimulated, and your nervous system stays in a state of alertness for hours. Over time, this pattern contributes to anxiety, fatigue, poor concentration, irritability, cravings, and even sleep problems later at night because cortisol and melatonin are closely connected. What's even more interesting is that your body responds strongly to emotional input during the morning. Negative thoughts, panic, rushing, and digital overload train the brain to expect stress daily. But calm habits can completely change this hormonal response. Simple things like deep breathing, avoiding your phone for the first few minutes, stretching, journaling, praying, meditating, or walking outside help regulate cortisol instead of overstimulating it. Movement also plays a major role because physical activity helps the body use cortisol productively rather than storing that stress energy internally. This is why some people feel energized naturally, while others rely on multiple cups of coffee just to function. One group is working with their biology, while the other is constantly fighting against it. Your morning hormones are extremely sensitive to your behaviors, environment, and mental state. When you learn how to guide cortisol correctly instead of triggering unnecessary stress immediately after waking, your brain becomes calmer, your focus improves, your energy becomes more stable, and your body starts operating the way it was originally designed to function throughout the day. The biggest mistake many people make every morning happens before they even get out of bed. They reach for their phone. It feels harmless, automatic, even normal. But scientifically, this habit may be one of the fastest ways ways to damage your focus, increase stress, disrupt hormones, and drain mental energy for the rest of the day. Your brain is extremely sensitive during the first moments after waking, and whatever enters your mind first begins shaping your emotional and neurological state almost immediately. Unfortunately, most people begin their mornings with overstimulation, sugar, and stress instead of giving their brain a healthy transition into wakefulness. When you check your phone first thing in the morning, your brain receives a flood of dopamine triggering information before it has fully stabilized. Notifications, messages, videos, social media updates, news headlines, and endless scrolling overstimulate attention circuits and train the brain to crave instant stimulation. Over time, this reduces focus, weakens attention span, and increases mental restlessness. Instead of starting your day intentionally, your brain enters reactive mode. You are no longer controlling your thoughts, the digital world is controlling them for you. Studies have also shown that excessive early morning phone use can increase anxiety and emotional stress because your nervous system is immediately exposed to pressure, comparison, urgency, and information overload. Then comes sugar and caffeine. Many people consume sweet coffee, drinks, pastries, or sugary breakfasts immediately after waking because they believe it gives them energy. In reality, this often creates unstable blood sugar spikes followed by crashes later in the day. Your body is especially sensitive to insulin in the morning, and when you flood your system with processed sugar on an empty stomach, energy rises quickly but falls just as fast. This roller coaster affects concentration, mood, cravings, and even hunger hormones. People often blame themselves for lacking discipline later in the day when the real issue began with unstable morning blood sugar. Rushing is another hidden form of stress that damages the body more than people realize. Constantly waking up late, skipping breakfast, multitasking, yelling, or racing against time activates the sympathetic nervous system, also known as the fight or flight system. When this becomes your normal morning pattern, your body starts treating everyday life like an emergency. Heart rate rises, cortisol remains elevated, digestion slows, and mental clarity decreases. Even worse, chronic morning stress can slowly train the brain into a permanent state of tension and hyperalertness. The truth is that your morning should not feel like survival. It should feel like preparation. Your brain and body need calm activation, stable energy, hydration, movement, sunlight, and mental clarity, not chaos, stimulation, and panic. The habits you repeat every morning become biological instructions that shape your mood, metabolism, focus, and emotional resilience throughout the entire day, whether you realize it or not. When people hear the phrase high performers, they often imagine complicated routines, expensive supplements, ice baths, or waking up at 4 a.m. every day. But when scientists study people with consistently high energy, strong mental clarity, emotional stability, and long-term productivity, the results are surprisingly simple. The most effective morning routines are not built around intensity. They are built around consistency and biology. High-performing individuals tend to follow a small group of behaviors that optimize brain function, protect focus, and regulate energy naturally instead of relying on stress and stimulation to force productivity. One of the first things many high performers prioritize is movement. Not necessarily extreme exercise, but physical activation. This is because movement immediately increases blood flow to the brain, improves oxygen delivery, enhances alertness, and activates neurotransmitters linked to motivation and focus. Even light stretching, walking, mobility exercises, or a short workout can improve mental performance significantly. Research shows that morning movement can enhance executive function, which includes decision-making, concentration, emotional control, and memory. In simple words, your brain literally works better when your body starts moving early in the day. Another powerful habit is intentional silence or mental clarity before consuming information. Many successful people avoid checking social media or emails immediately after waking because they understand attention is a valuable resource. Instead of allowing the world to control their emotions and priorities, they create space for reflection, planning, journaling, prayer, meditation, or simply sitting quietly for a few minutes. Scientifically, this reduces overstimulation and helps the prefrontal cortex, the decision-making part of the brain, function more effectively. This is important because constant digital input weakens focus and increases mental fatigue over time. Nutrition also plays a major role. High performers often avoid heavy sugary breakfasts that create energy crashes later in the day. Instead, they focus on stable fuel sources that support concentration and metabolic health. Protein-rich breakfasts in particular help regulate blood sugar, improve satiety, and support dopamine production, which influences motivation and mental drive. Combined with hydration and sunlight exposure, this creates a more stable energy pattern throughout the day instead of temporary spikes followed by exhaustion. Perhaps the most overlooked habit is intentional planning. Many productive people spend a few minutes identifying the most important task of the day before distractions begin. This reduces decision fatigue and gives the brain a clear direction early in the morning. Without intention, people often spend entire days reacting to notifications, interruptions, and low-priority tasks while feeling busy but accomplishing very little. The reason these habits work is because they align with how the human brain and body are naturally designed to function. High performers are not necessarily more motivated than everyone else. In many cases, they simply protect their mornings better. They understand that focus, discipline, emotional stability, and productivity are not random traits. They are biological outcomes created by repeated daily behaviors that shape the brain and nervous system over time. The perfect morning routine is not about perfection. It is about creating a sequence of simple behaviors that work with your biology instead of against it. Most people fail with morning routines because they try to change everything overnight. They follow extreme schedules for a few days, become exhausted, and then return to unhealthy habits. But science shows that small, consistent actions repeated every morning are far more powerful than dramatic routines that cannot be sustained. The goal is not to become superhuman by sunrise. The goal is to place your brain, hormones, metabolism, and nervous system into the healthiest possible state before the day begins. The first step is waking up consistently. Your body thrives on rhythm. Going to bed and waking up at similar times each day helps regulate circadian rhythm, hormone release, digestion, and sleep quality. Even your energy and mood become more stable when your internal clock is predictable. This is why irregular sleep schedules often leave people feeling tired no matter how long they sleep. Your brain wants consistency more than perfection. The second step is immediate hydration and light exposure. Before caffeine, before scrolling, before stress, your body needs water and natural light. Hydration restores brain performance after sleep, while sunlight tells your brain it is time to become alert and energized. Together, these habits activate your body naturally instead of forcing artificial stimulation through sugar and excessive caffeine. Even a few minutes outside can begin improving focus, mood, and nighttime sleep quality later in the day. The third step is movement. This does not mean everyone must do intense workouts every morning. The key is activation. Walking, stretching, mobility exercises, yoga, or short exercise sessions all increase circulation, improve mental alertness, and reduce stiffness and stress. Movement also sends a signal to the brain that the body is active and capable, which improves motivation and emotional energy throughout the day. The fourth step is protecting your mind from early chaos. Avoiding social media, stressful news, and unnecessary digital stimulation during the first part of the morning helps preserve mental clarity. Instead of beginning your day reacting emotionally to outside information, you give your brain time to stabilize and focus intentionally. This is where habits like journaling, planning, reading, meditation, prayer, or quiet reflection become extremely valuable because they strengthen attention and emotional control before distractions take over. The fifth and final step is giving your body stable fuel. A balanced breakfast with protein, healthy fats, and nutrients supports concentration and energy far better than processed sugary foods that create crashes later in the day. When blood sugar remains stable, your mood, cravings, focus, and productivity also become more stable. When these 5 habits work together consistently, mornings stop feeling rushed and exhausting. Your brain becomes clearer, your energy becomes steadier, your stress becomes more manageable, and your body begins functioning the way it was biologically designed to function. The perfect morning is not built through motivation alone. It is built through small scientific habits repeated long enough to completely change the dire. CDON of your health, mindset, and daily life at the end of the day, your mornings are more powerful than you think. They are not just the beginning of your schedule, they are the foundation of your physical health, mental clarity, emotional stability, and long-term success. Every single morning, your body is waiting for instructions. The light you expose yourself to, the thoughts you repeat, the food you eat, the stress you absorb, and the habits you practice all send signals directly into your brain, hormones, metabolism, and nervous system. And over time, these small repeated signals become your lifestyle, your energy level, your focus, and ultimately your future. The truth is, most people are not tired because they lack motivation. They are tired because their mornings are draining them before the day even begins. They wake up stressed, overstimulated, dehydrated, distracted, and reactive. Then they wonder why they feel exhausted, unfocused, anxious, and unproductive later in the day. But science shows that when you protect your mornings, everything begins to change. Your sleep improves, your energy becomes more stable, your mind becomes sharper, your emotions become calmer. Your body starts working with you instead of against you. And the most important lesson is this: you do not need a perfect life to create a powerful morning. You only need a few intentional habits repeated consistently. Wake up with purpose, hydrate your body, get natural sunlight, move your body, protect your mind from chaos, fuel yourself properly. These habits may look small, but practiced daily, they can completely transform the quality of your health and your life. Because the way you start your morning is often the way you start becoming the person you will be in the future.